And these kind of go together. So when if you don't eat your dinner, you don't get dessert. It doesn't mean you go to bed without a bath or a book. Making them connected. So when we kind of all of a sudden start kind of piling it on, when we say, all right, I'm taking this away, I'm going to take this away, I'm taking this away, that's not authoritative parenting. That's reactive parenting. And what you're doing there is kind of piling it on, thinking. And very often I will hear a parent say, you know what, they have nothing in their bedroom but a mattress. I've taken everything away. And the child says, I don't care. And I said, that is your cue that what is happening is emotional, that your child has got some big emotions going on, because that's what they're telling you. So when it's related, it's connected to it. The only time, and this troubles me, but it's the reality of the world, I really felt strongly about this, but I do see today in the world of technology and devices that often that becomes an incentive. And I hate to use that word because I don't believe that incentives are very good for anything besides toilet training. So sticker charts and filling up the pom-pom charts and all of those things there are not as helpful as teaching children from the inside out. So, but I do see parents saying that if this behavior happens, you're going to lose screen time. It's having a real impact, which says a lot about our culture today and not about anything that we've done here. That it's respectful. And so one of the greatest gifts that we can teach our children is that we can make mistakes. And so I know that I'm not respectful when I am using sarcasm, when I am kind of really overdoing it, when I'm using the word you. Respectful means I'm using I messages. And when I've crossed the line and I have been disrespectful, one of the most wonderful gifts I can give my children as well as myself is I can own it and say, you know what, I lost it, I overreacted, I don't like the way I said that. Doesn't mean I say, so as a result you can have whatever you want. It still means I have to put boundaries in place, but I can own that I made a mistake. And when children grow up in homes, when you're using logical consequences and natural consequences in these things where mistakes are part of learning, what you do is give your children the most incredible gift for life. It's one of the key ingredients to build resiliency and grit in your kids. Resiliency and grit is also related to self-esteem. When I can make mistakes and they're safe, that is a gift to our children. As a preschool teacher, there were 3 kinds of children that I used to see. And I could tell you what kind of house they came from. They spilt their milk. There was the child that spilt their milk and went, and they paralyzed. They were frozen with fear. That's a child that came from an authoritarian home because spilling your milk meant really bad things. There was the other child that spilt their milk and said, is someone going to clean this mess up? And that was the child that came from a permissive home that never took responsibility for themselves. And then there was the child that spilt their milk and said, can you show me where the towel is so I can clean this up? That's what we want our children to do, is to take responsibility for what they did in all areas. And the greatest teacher of that is us ourselves. So when it comes to using logical consequences, there's several things that you have to do. You have to, first of all, give your kids really good opportunities to learn. You're going to give them clear expectations, and you're going to tell them we're going to practice this, especially on really hard things. Then you're also going to say, if we're not able to do that, this is what the consequence is. And the gift of the consequence is you have to be able to do it. You have to be able to do it. So if it's like, if you don't do this, Santa's never going to come to your house again. You know, that's crazy land. What the hell's wrong with you? Because being able to have the consequence and do it means that you're going to follow through. And that's when we get lost. That's when we fail sometimes, is following through can be really, really hard. So some of you have maybe heard me before, and I share this story as my key to logical consequences over and over again. But in my early life, I was a waitress, not a very good one, unfortunately a very bad one or whatever. And so, but when I waitressed, I learned a lot of things in the restaurant business. I learned that it was never cute or fun when children ran around in restaurants. I thought it was unsafe, and I thought it was unfair to the other people in the restaurant. So as my children grew, one of the things was really, really important to me was restaurant behavior. And so the way I taught restaurant behavior, and that's what I had to teach, was restaurant behavior. Because it wasn't enough to say, we're going to a restaurant, be good. Because what the hell does be good mean? And very often we think that's what disciplining is. I told them to be good, and they're not. That's not enough. That's like not helpful at all, is what I can tell you. When I'm going in there and I'm going to teach my children, I'm going to give them exactly what I expect. So this is what the car ride would sound like. We're going to a restaurant. Does everybody remember restaurant behavior? Because we had done this several times. And from the back seat, I would hear, we sit in our seats using inside voices. If we need to use the bathroom, Mom and Dad will take us, and we can play quiet games at the table. I said, that's fabulous. I said, what would happen if all of the other children in the restaurant were running around? Where would the Horgan children be? Sitting in our seats using inside voices, playing quiet games at the table, and Mom and Dad will take us to that. I said, fantastic. I said, what would happen if you forgot about restaurant behavior? And the answer was always the same. Mom doesn't mind eating her dinner in the car. And so that was the answer. That was going to be the consequence. So into the restaurant we go. I don't know if you have this problem here like we do on the Cape side, but there's a lot of elderly people there. So we went to a restaurant, and everybody in there was 70 or above, and then there was us. And so we're at this restaurant, we're sitting at our table, we have 2 children at this time, and as we were at the table, people are looking, oh, look at, they're cute, they're adorable, blah, blah, blah. And one of my daughters, who really was enjoying this kind of attention, looked around and remembered that she had worn her tights with fluffs on them, so she decided to climb out of her chair, do a little dance, and moon everybody in the restaurant. It was well received by the people in the restaurant, but to me that wasn't appropriate restaurant behavior. But because I'm teaching, I am going to say, Casey, do you remember about restaurant?